There's a lot of things in this old world that just do not make sense. Like why there's so few believers on the firing line, while so many others sit the fence. But if you want to know where the Word of God stands, and believe it wants to use your feet and hands, it's time to take your faith out of the seats and into the streets, and come along with me. If you only look, then you will see on WCN-TV.
Hey, I'm Mike Heath, and this is WCN-TV live stream. WCN-TV.net stands for Wisconsin Christian News Television, and this is interactive TV or live streaming on the internet. And we do have a growing studio audience. It's still a bit small, but I want to introduce some of our faithful folks, at least one of them. Harry, can you unmute and come on in here and say hello to us for just a minute before we get to our honored guest? Who we're going to skewer today? No, I'm kidding. But you want to stay tuned. Harry, come on in here and say hello. You and Hadassah.
But before Jonathan came on, we were the honored guest. What happened?
Yeah, what happened? So look at folks. I want you to look at this. We've got it up on the screen. Harry and Hadassah. Look, they can join with us from their kitchen. You can join with us from your living room or from wherever you are. You can join with us, and we want this to be interactive. So Harry and Hadassah, I want to encourage you to interact with our guest, ask them questions or make points as we're moving along. And don't feel you have to. I mean, you can put up your hand if you want. There's this technology thing in this little app that allows you.
See that?
See that? You can put up push that, and you can put up your hand, and then I'll know that you want to talk. But you don't even have to do that. And if there's some other guests in here, but I don't know them well enough to embarrass them like I just did Harry and Hadassah by showing you all their kitchen. But we want more people to join, be part of the studio audience, because you know what we're about here, folks, is truth. And we are unafraid of controversy. We are unafraid of it, unafraid. I'm telling you, we are so sick to death of this digested, I almost, this bile that comes through the media now, and they call it news at CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, this what Donald Trump called, rightly, I believe, fake news. We're all so sick to death of it. 80 million people follow and support and feel encouraged in so many ways in their humanity by this man, Donald Trump, and that idiot at Twitter, Jack Dorsey, deletes the president of the United States of America. We're never going to forget that, folks. We're never going to forget it. And big tech is never going to recover from that either. Florida just passed a law, and Florida, DeSantis is coming for you, Jack. He's coming for you, DeSantis is. And after that, he's going to become president. You ain't going to like it one little bit. So anyway, we're going to talk to another governor, not Governor DeSantis from Florida, but we're going to talk to the up-and-coming, youthful, young Jonathan Wichmann from the great state of Wisconsin has agreed to be our guest on WCN-TV.net live stream. Sorry, I was distracted. My computer screen was doing its thing, going blank and whatnot. So, Jonathan, welcome to WCN-TV.net live stream.
Thanks for having me, Governor Mike.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm actually a candidate for governor too. I started in January, but you told me, Jonathan, that I'm a candidate for governor of Maine, and Jonathan is a candidate for governor of Wisconsin. And under the new voting rules of the communist left, you can vote for both of us as many times as you want. all you need to do is get a hold of one of them ballots that they're just going to start mailing willy-nilly all over the world. So hey, you know, it's an open season on voting, I guess.
It's true.
So Jonathan, thank you for putting yourself out there, getting into the shark pool of politics, and you're young, and why aren't you hiding, Jonathan? Why aren't you hiding, and why aren't you thinking that the world is coming to an end?
That's a good question. You know, I guess my backstory is I've been raised a fighter, really. Ever since I was young, really I've been fighting for my life. I had severe asthma at age 5, suffered a mild vax injury from the MMR vaccine, which left me with slight mild Tourette syndrome of the muscular.
No, wait a second, Jonathan. Wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Vaccines don't injure people, Jonathan.
I know we have to trust the science, right?
You trust. Come on now. So you're a living, walking example of what happens when it goes wrong, huh?
I am. And I really, that's why I think the timing is so divine in a way that, you know, God's making this all happen, because think about what this whole world, went under in the last year is all under the pretense of a virus. And of course, now it's their magical vaccine that's going to supposedly get us back to normal. What crazy better way to have a candidate who actually had the, terrible experience of being, vax injured by a vaccine and had to live his entire adult life with this injury and decide what he's going to make from his life, right? I could have been hiding away, like you said, and let the bullies overcome and say, hey, there's no hope for me. I'm not normal per se. What am I going to do in life, right? But instead, I took this supposed weakness and I turned it into a strength. And I'm here being a voice of reason and common sense in Wisconsin, fighting against globalism right now. And that's what this is.
Right. And Jonathan, you're not alone in that. There's men and women all over the world who do that, who are doing that all the time. But we don't. Why is it that we've gotten to the point in this world where the only people who become celebrities are the ones of a certain color who decide to burn down police stations in cities?
That's a great question. I think it's by design. We understand what the media's agenda is, here. And the biggest thing I got, going into this campaign is so many people. I respond to so many messages. I'm not sure if you see that, but comments on Facebook, inbox messages. I literally can spend 3 hours a day just responding to people, and that's on purpose. I really care about my fellow citizens of Wisconsin. Obviously, that's why I'm working 12 hours a day to give back here and try to save our state. And so, all these things that people saying, hey, I've been feeling alone. It's so great that you came on the scene, because what you're saying I resonate with, but I've been too afraid to say it out loud.
Isn't that great? I applaud you for being willing to do a deep dive into the comment streams on social media. I've never it's never really interested me or whatever. Maybe it's because of my age but so you've done the deep dive into the comment streams and you're finding that it's helping your campaign.
Yeah, because I have a desire to really connect with people on a deep level. It doesn't matter what walk of life you are. It doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with me. I really want to get to know you as a person. And I think that's biblical. Jesus Christ calls us to, get to, feed my sheep and also steer them in the right direction, right? Well, you can't do that unless you actually make a real human connection with people. And that's what I want to do from a genuine perspective, heart to heart. I want to get to know people, and I want to show them the right way, the biblical way of how we should be living life, and what's the best setup for humanity to live. And we've been trying it the other way for a very long time, for decades and decades, and our lives have only gotten worse, right? It's time to show people, hey, we need to do it God's way.
I've just have you ever heard the name G.K. Chesterton?
No.
He was a journalist in the early English journalist, British journalist in the early 20th century. You might want to look him up on Google sometime and look at some of his quotes. But what you just said about how you do the deep dive into the comment streams on social media reminds me of him, because I think were he alive today, he would probably take your approach. He really loved.
Oh, did we lose Mike? It's okay.
And of course.
Oh, there he is.
Okay, something. Am I back?
Lost the power.
Oh,
you're back.
All right, great. Yeah, we just had a power thing here in Maine. Probably Jezebel Janet
Did
kills.
Biden shut off your power already?
Yeah, I was going to say Jezebel Janet kills our governor. She probably messing with my power. She doesn't want this message getting out there. But G.K. Chesterton was what I did. You hear me say that?
I heard the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I said after that was that he lived in the and wrote in the early 20th century. He was a British journalist, and he really enjoyed the give and take of debate and discussion, especially with people he disagreed with his enemies. Sounds like you do that on social media.
I really try to. Obviously, when you're coming into contact with someone from the radical left, it's difficult, right? Because they go to the emotions so quickly. And if they ever feel like they're losing a debate, so to speak, they just immediately start attacking your character and your person, right? So it's difficult to break through to those people. But anyone else that is more rational, yeah, we can have civilized discussions. And most of the time, they walk away seeing a lot of things my way. I've literally converted some Democrats. They're like, you know what, I'm voting for you. I never voted Republican before, but you make a lot of sense. And the fact that you're taking time to even talk to me on this personal level is the reason why I'm going to vote for you. Good
for you, Jonathan. That's awesome. So I'm going to pause. Harry, you got a question or a point to make, or somebody? I don't see anybody's hand up, but come on in here. If you any other guests who are in here, any members of the studio audience, we're talking to Jonathan Wichmann. He is a candidate for governor in Wisconsin. We got somebody raising their hand in there. Come on in here. Unmute. Tell us. I think it was Deanne. You need to unmute. You there? I guess she's working on it. All right. So if you can unmute, just speak right up. What's that? All right. We don't have any audio. So Spencer, bring up Jonathan's webpage for me. I wish I could see what's going on. Let's see, you lost your network connection, trying to reconnect. Can you let me in? Isn't technology fun, folks? Never a lack of. Let's see, return, rejoin. Okay, it's always something happening.
Why can't we live without it?
Yeah, why can't we?
We grew up without
it. Dick and Deanne, I saw you trying to unmute there. Try and unmute again. There you go. Go. Talk. I guess there's something wrong with your microphone. All right, here is Jonathan Wichmann's website. Look at that handsome young man. And so go ahead and leave it at the top there. I want to ask him a question about his slogan at the top. The Republican candidate represents real people. So tell us a bit about unreal people.
The choice of words there, really talking about the genuine desire for the people that really love this country, right? The ones that are ready to give and invest and work again, how the founding fathers set everything up. The ones that are just taking, and there's a lot of takers, right? The ones that are just sitting on their heinies, not doing a whole lot. And now with all these stimmy checks, it seems like the government is just making that easier and easier to do. That's not what made this country great. And that's definitely not what's going to make Wisconsin great. So I really want to get back, like I said, that's why I take time to really speak with people one-on-one, is we have to have a real approach, a genuine approach. That's the only way we're going to get out of this mess. If we can't start speaking the truth and talk about the real issues and start bringing people together instead of dividing, then we have lost the republic.
That's right. So scroll on down, Spencer. I want to read something you wrote. Scroll on down. Scroll on. Keep up. Stop. Go up. Click on health and vaccines. There you go. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to look down here, folks, and read for a minute. So forgive me. This is Jonathan writing. I believe in the human immune system as designed by our creator. Jonathan, you cross the line. You're talking religion there. You're bringing religion and politics in.
Yeah.
Hold your thought. I want to finish reading what you wrote. Go ahead and spin that around for me again. All right. With an increasing emphasis on nutrition to keep our immune system strong, we can eradicate many health issues. I feel we must be willing to do the work and research on an individual level. On the subject of vaccines, I feel that is to be left to personal choice. Learn about the mRNA shot risk. Two questions for you. Jonathan, you mentioned the creator, which of course is illegal in the United States of America because we obviously have to separate church or religion from state. We cannot bring the two together. So you violate, you know, they're coming for you. The FBI is going to be knocking on your door, buddy, at the end of this show. And then the other, so I want you to comment on that. The other thing I want you to comment on is educate us on this mRNA risk issue. What are the risks? So go ahead, hit us with that creator answer.
Sure. Well, before I decided to run for governor, I'm very open about this. I understood, like I said, I'm not new to politics per se. While I have never held a position in politics, I've been studying and following politics for 13 years, religiously, 3 to 4 hours a day. Have a lot of mentors too, many different industries. So I have a really good network around me. So before I jumped into this, I spent a lot of time in prayer, 3 days exactly. And I said, God, I know I'm up against the establishment. I know both sides are going to attack me, right? But I have a clear vision. I understand what we need to do to protect Wisconsin and save the state, really. But I'm not going to be able to do it all on my own. In my own human strength, there's no possible way. And the story out of the Bible that came to me really was a story of Gideon. And, you already know the story of Gideon, but what was interesting about that is in man's terms, the fact that he kept weeding people out from the army and whittling it down all the way to, a few hundred men. It was just bizarre. No general, no strategist would say you could ever win that way. But again, the reason for this is because God did that so that he would get the glory, when they did win the battle. And that's the same thing that's developing right now. I started literally from zero. No one knew who I was. In a matter of, 12 months, I have over 350,000 people that are following my campaign, a whole organizational structure, people raising their hand. Hey, I want to be a leader in this county and help you out, right? And get the message out. So this is really God moving, and it's for his purpose. I fully believe the time is short. And so there's twofold to my mission here. Yes, it's running for governor and by God's grace winning, but at the same time, leading souls or people to the author of life, and that's Jesus Christ. And that's what I'm called to do. So
I'm going to make a prediction right here and now, Jonathan Wichmann. You are going to win next year. I told a young man your age last night at the Kennebec County Republican Committee meeting that has just finished serving 2 terms of the mayor of the city of Waterville. I said, and he took it on the chin while he was mayor because of three words in a tweet back when cancel culture was getting up a full head of steam. And he was fired by the bank that he worked for. He has 5 young children. Scared him to death. It scared him to death. And I said to him last night, Nick, within 12 months, your background is going to be a political plus. And you are going to win next year. You're going to become governor. If you've got that many people who are showing an interest in you with respect to social. Look, I've spent my life doing grassroots political organizing. Those kind of numbers can't be overcome by money. If you continue to talk publicly the way you're talking on this show, just being open and transparent and honest and Christian, you are going to win. You can't lose. You are going to win. We got somebody raising their hand. This is awesome. Now maybe the audio will work. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, Mike?
We can hear you. Go.
Awesome. Hi, Jonathan. I also have had a run-in with vaccine. I have ended up with lymphedema off of that. So when you get in as governor, what are your intentions as far as this vaccine and then pushing these vaccines?
Oh, sure. It's not even my intention as governor. It's what I've been already doing as a candidate. So the Assembly and Senate for 240 days were basically idle. They allowed Tony Evers to run away with 4 back-to-back public health emergency orders, right? Executive orders, completely unconstitutional. As my numbers started growing on Facebook, I used the platform that I had to put as much pressure as I could on key people within the Assembly and Senate. And I knew who the people were that were holding things up, right? And so I had to set the vision and the agenda and tell them and show them that in the state of Wisconsin, because they were a little bit behind the 8 ball on what was going on here, the real agenda behind COVID-19 and how this really is a new control grid that's being rolled out, a full-fledged communist agenda for this country. And I can get into the other reasons why this is happening from a financial perspective.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I did that. And that's where all my podcasts and my videos were coming through, because I realized for me to win too, I have to educate the voters on both sides. There's a huge knowledge gap and them understanding what's really going on. And I don't want some slick speaking politician that's going to absolutely do nothing, right? Weasel their way in on false promises, because we can't afford that. They will be the end of us if we do that. So everything the pressure I've been putting out there is actually already generating the assembly to put forth similar bills to what Ron DeSantis is working on there in Florida, that will prevent the people from having to, from mandating the vaccine, right? The COVID-19 from a private standpoint and then a public standpoint. So they're putting in those bills. The problem was really how I got launched in some ways. I started my campaign May of last year. And then things got so bad. Everyone probably remembers what happened in Kenosha with the fires, and you saw that, right? BLM, yeah. Mike, and all that. Kenosha made the news.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. the young man there, the hero. What's his name?
Kyle
Rittenhouse. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyway, so when Kenosha burnt down, and then everything that current governor Tony Evers had to say about it, basically taking the side of the terrorist, if you will, that threw everyone into a complete rage. And so we're standing there looking at the GOP like, okay, what's it going to take for you guys to recall this guy? First of all, he's obviously anti-American. He's anti-Wisconsin, right? He's totally a puppet put into place for the specific agenda. What are we doing? And there was absolutely, literally no leadership coming down from the GOP. No word on this. And so someone
they've been bought off, Jonathan. They've been bought off. Go ahead. Sorry.
Someone randomly a concerned citizen, maybe not the perfect background for it, but this person stood up and started a recall process, really, and actually filed the paperwork. Regardless of that, would I preferred that the Republican Party had the process up? Yeah. The thing was, they came down, they were trying to squash it, saying, no, recalls don't work. We're not going to do that. Well, again, look at Newsom out in California. What does a governor have to do to be challenged and recalled? I mean, Scott Walker got recalled for something even sillier than that. But we have Tony Evers. Oh no, we can't recall him. So, but during the recall, I said, if this should be successful, I will be the candidate. I will challenge Tony Evers and go against him. And so, as they were pushing this recall out during August, they started up in August. Obviously, my name is out there. The group grew to 90,000 people were in the recall group. So 90,000, right, and then all around the state. So that's how I formed a quick base, because I was the only one being vocal and verbal about what was really going on, how the enemy was attacking us, and how we had to defend from it. So I saw where it was leading to. And then, of course, the mask mandate, that came into play, right? A part of the emergency orders. And I was fighting that on the city council level in my own county, Milwaukee here. And I was watching their live video streams. And it was a joke. There's one guy that pretended like he was kind of not okay with what was going on with the mask mandate. And everyone just fell in line and just boom. Yes, we vote yes, mask mandate. And sure enough, I said, in about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a little longer, the conditioning of this is going to set in. And what I was really concerned about were the children. How it's going to impact children long term, especially within the school system and stuff. And now here we are today, a year later, and people still won't take their mask off.
Oh, it's hideous. It's hideous. I can't believe how evil it is. It just drives me crazy.
Right. So I said, okay, so they condition you to wear a mask. Now, of course, what do we see? The fast track to the COVID-19 vaccine, the Pfizer, under the emergency, authorization, they could rush these things out. The testing was a joke. They didn't do any testing on this. And I've been following, again, because of my vaccine, injury, I have been closely following the science, so to speak, of vaccines. And it's ridiculous. It's a joke. A lot of it is based on lies, honestly, but they're getting away with it. And it's $1 billion industry. It's all about money again, right? And so they're forcing this down everyone's throat. The media is pushing it real hard. Is this the only way back to normal? And then, of course, it wasn't about just the vaccine and your health. Now you need to show your papers that you actually received it in order to get back into normal society again. If you want to go to a ball game, if you want to enter into grocery stores, right? And Israel, of all countries, is the worst right now on this. Literally, I see actual, live videos of people in Israel saying how bad it is. I mean, there are actually grocery stores you can't get into without the pass. Sorry, Mike, you got me amped up now. I see you want to jump in there, but yeah. No. So I've been fighting as much as I can to hedge Wisconsin.
So a Wichmann administration, there's not going to be any. There's not going to be any vaccine passports under a Wichmann administration.
Zero. And that's why I was so impressed.
There's not going to be any mandatory vaccinations either. Now, how are you going to stop these airlines from keeping good people from flying?
Yeah, that's a tricky question, honestly, because you have some overlap there in the federal side, right? FAA. So we can only control so much in the state level, but what I can control in the state level, for sure, we're not going to implement that. But before we get on the airlines, one last thing. So as a candidate, right, I knew the step that we had to unwind the back-to-back emergency orders, and so what happened was, with finally putting enough pressure on the Assembly and Senate to do something, there were some good people, and I give credit to where credit's due. Senator Steve Nass and Andre Jock and a few others are good people. They are good, right? Sometimes maybe I just feel like they didn't know what was really happening, the fear as well. But they finally got a joint resolution together, and we got it passed. We called all the representatives. I put out the contact information. We emailed them, phone called them. I sent video message personally to a few Democrats that were maybe on the fence about it, that we're trying to flip over. We got it done, and it actually passed. And within 1 hour, Tony Evers, right after it knocked down, Tony Evers wrote another executive order. So of course, because there's that conflict, it had to go to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, which it did. So I'm like, okay, great. Hopefully, maybe, right? They dragged their feet forever on that. And I'm like, oh boy. So the problem, Judge, was Brian Hagedorn. I said, we got to put pressure on him because he's the swing vote. And that's exactly how it played out. Again, calling Brian Hager, flooding him, thousands of emails and calls. We broke his voicemail machine. We broke it because I put on my Facebook, call him now. Boom, everyone did. I have loyal supporters. I love my supporters, and so we did. And sure enough, they finally moved. A week or two later, and sure enough, he was the swing vote 4-3, and they knocked it down. And then Tony Evers was done. Couldn't do anything more.
What you get, Jonathan, that the rhinos in the Republican Party have drained out of the grassroots people of goodwill in the Republican Party is you understand that politics isn't about being polite and nice. Right. Politics is about confrontation and disagreement at a fundamental level. And if you can't resolve those fundamental disagreements politically, then you end up in warfare. You end up in kinetic warfare. Politics is the last step before war.
It's true.
And you get that. And the other thing you get, which is very important for our viewers and listeners to understand about your candidacy and about your instinct, is you understand the internet and the power of these platforms. Mm-hmm. I want to talk to you. We got to go to a break. But when we come back for the break, Jonathan, I want to pick your brain about big tech and fake book and Dorsey and you GooTube and Giggle. And I have a sense that you have some strong informed opinions about what's coming for these companies and what we can do to fix this problem with them violating our rights. Mm-hmm. They're violating the rights of every human on the planet now. I mean, this is beyond a monopoly problem. It's beyond that. This is a fundamentally human problem with the soul and with reason. These are companies that have been able to amass so much power that they are literally interfering with our opportunity to be fully human, They're making us into animals by controlling us using their algorithms. And oh goodness, you got me preaching. We're going to take a break for 2 minutes. And when we come back, we're going to talk with Jonathan Wichmann, uniquely equipped to answer our questions and inform us on what's going on with big tech. He's also a candidate for governor. He's going to be the next governor of the great state of Wisconsin. So, stay tuned. Be with us on the other side of the break, just 2 minutes, and support these folks who support this show.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
At the McClario firm, it all starts with family. We're here to serve you and your family, online or in person. Call today for a free consultation. The McClario firm, your law firm for life.
Start.
Pornography is a destructive force. It destroys individuals, families, and fuels the out-of-control demand for sex trafficking. 45% of Christian families say porn is a problem in their home, but why aren't churches and public schools talking about this? Fear. People who view porn think they're the only one. It's a lie. Statistically, more people view porn than who do not and struggle in silence. www.lynnfrederick.com. You can find the book I wrote about my own battle with porn and the presentations that I do for churches and public schools. lynnfrederick.com.
Tired of bad news? Do the teenagers in your life need a break from social media and mind-numbing entertainment? Wouldn't it be great to inspire them to connect with God and others and to live outside their phones? The Off the Itinerary series by M. Liz Boyle does just that, and reviewers love the blend of adventure and Christian themes. Readers enjoy the action-packed stories and relatable characters. Go to mlizboyle.com for discussion guides and purchase links.
All right, we've only got another 30 minutes with the next governor of Wisconsin, Jonathan Wichmann, whose day job is helping people grow their business using the internet. So he is able to talk with us and inform about and inform us on the issues with big tech. Jonathan, I don't know if you followed it. I wish I could have followed it more deeply, but DeSantis's move at the state level against big tech, good or bad in your opinion?
Oh, I think it's good. Absolutely. Here's my opinion. Facebook, Twitter, and the likes, right, have shown their true intention. What really bothers me the most is this country has given them the opportunity to become what they become. And I understand when you go into business and corporation, you're for profit. And unfortunately, it seems like the only motivation there is for profit, right? But we need responsible corporations that are loyal to the American citizens. So for them to have gotten compromised and actually work against the citizens, you're now the enemy, in my opinion, of America.
They are
right?
the enemy.
They are the enemy, and we should treat you. We should treat you as such.
They're traitors.
Yeah,
they're
totally.
terrorists.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think what he's doing is absolutely the right thing to do. Because here's why. There's some conditioning, right? As much as people want to get off Facebook, it's like it still pulls them back in. They can't quite leave, right? Because there's such a huge audience there. It's a necessary evil right now for me because that's how I'm reaching the most people, and it's working, right? So it can be used for good and bad. But the fact that, of course, I mean, Facebook has shadow banned a few things. It's been quite good. I've been surprised how much I've gotten away with for the things I've been sharing for truth. Maybe someone behind the scenes is looking out for me.
Jonathan, here's the thing. Here's the problem for a guy like you. It's working for you today, but because of how this technology works, they could literally destroy everything you've built in a nanosecond. All they have to do is turn it off.
They could.
So you could reach a critical point in your campaign, and in your campaign, you're going to lose if at that critical point in your campaign they turn you off.
Maybe. I am using it as an initial introduction, but I am physically going to every county and meeting with people face to face, kind of the old school, way of campaigning, right? So at some point we'll hit critical mass. And again, I believe there's going to be some big backers, and we'll be able to get traditional media going as well, mailers, too. Yeah. So it's all in God's hand at the end of the day. I just have to keep doing what I'm doing,
The other thing I worry about when it comes to Facebook is if they turn you off, it breaks your system, your logistics. It completely shatters the logistics of your campaign.
Well, to a degree, we do have an offline mailer list database that we are collecting, people's as well. But yeah, it is not as big as my Facebook audience right now, for sure.
It's very evil for these companies to, and it's illegal, actually. I think that's the point. I think that's the point DeSantis is making. When it comes to politics in a country where we have a First Amendment to the United States Constitution, which protects my right and your right as an individual American citizen to campaign and to articulate our vision, our ideas without interference, and leave. And the reason that's there is so that people can make up their minds, so they can be exposed to a diversity of ideas, and then they can vote, they can make up their own minds. That's one of the things that makes America unique and great.
Right.
And these companies have proven over the last 5 years that they are they're not American companies. They've got the paper, they're organized, they've got the lawyers, they're making the money, but they're not American.
Right.
They're communists.
They are. And so that leads us into the financial component, the stuff that I know best on this. And the reason why these companies aren't so scared is because true capitalism has left this country a long time ago. If you did something like this, or you made a terrible product and it was injuring or hurting people, right? Or like the Boeing 37 Max, where they had calculated X amount of planes that were just going to go down, and we saw the 2 that went down, right? The thing is, they don't care about that so much anymore because they have the full backing of the Federal Reserve behind them. So they know that their stock will always get propped up. And that's exactly what happened. They barely took a dent in their stock price because, billions of dollars gets funneled in out of thin air to prop up their stock price.
We need to get rid of this idea of too big to fail, right?
We do.
Nothing's too big to fail.
Well, the crazy thing about that, Mike, is the entire monetary system globally, but more specifically the US dollar, actually was designed to fail. And it all goes back to 1913 Federal Reserve Act. And whenever you go into centralized banking, usually communism flows out from there. It takes a while to develop because they always start off, looking like the good guys. They're connected to a gold standard, right? Something honest, right? But then 1971, Nixon, closed that gold window permanently because once again, politicians and government are getting greedy, expanding the size of government, offering more promises to people, buying votes, right? And the honest monetary system was checking them and saying, no, you can't do that. And so France and other people saying, hey, we want our gold back. I think there's too many dollars in circulation. We want our physical gold. The gold started flowing out of the country at such a rapid pace that they had to close that gold window, right? And so then we went to a true fiat currency. And if you look at the history of true fiat currencies, they don't last more than 40 years. Now, the reason we last a little bit longer than normal is we got onto a petrodollar, and then the full force of the United States military was there to force the using of the US dollar. That's what the whole Middle East wars were about, right? So when you follow the money, you realize, wow, how many lies there really are. And so, like I said, in September of 2019, the repo market broke again, just like it did prior to the 2008 financial crash. The thing that's different from now compared to then is the asset bubble that was blown was mainly isolated to the mortgage-backed securities, okay? Mm-hmm. The problem is now there's asset bubbles literally in every place you can imagine, okay? Real estate, the stock market, U.S. treasuries, which is very dangerous, corporate debt, personal debt, student loan debt, it goes on and on and on, okay? Yep. So because it's a debt-based monetary system, they cannot contract. They have to absolutely continue to expand. So, Janet Yellen and of course, Jerome Powell and all these, Ben Bernanke, they'd always pretend oh, we can raise interest rates. They can't. We can never normalize interest rates ever again. That means they're going to have to obliterate the dollar. And China knows this. That's why China has gone full steam ahead, buying as much physical gold as they could get their hands on. They built the Silk Road. They're building infrastructure to bypass the U.S. dollar and trade. They're going to do it in the yuan. They'll probably do it in the euro. The euro's not any better, right? But that's what they're doing because they know that the world reserve currency status of the United States dollar is going to go away soon. And when it does, our entire living standard as Americans is going to collapse like we've never experienced before. And we're not going to just come out of it just like that. And if you have the wrong leadership in government and, of course, as president, the time it takes for you to dig your way out of that is going to be immensely long and immensely painful, and real lives will be lost. And that's why I'm running for governor.
Imagine folks living on where a gallon of milk is $10 a gallon. What's your thought on this, Jonathan? Do you think
or a burger is 90? Look at Venezuela, 90,000 Bolivar back in the day. Okay. And what people don't understand is if you look at Venezuela's stock market, it was like this, right? As their currency was hyperinflating, their stock market was going like this. Their stock market reached 500,000 points. We're looking at the Dow here, 38,000, give or take, right? 500,000 people are like, oh, that's great. We must be rich. No, because on the street, a burger was 90,000 Bolivar. Imagine paying $90,000 for a burger.
Jonathan, do you think the United States is going to experience that kind of, Zimbabwe, Venezuela style hyperinflation, or are we going to see heavy duty inflation, but it's going to peak at some point, and then we're going to sort of, because the United States of America still is pretty unique in the world, but so yeah. What do you think? Do you think we go hyperbolic? Or
based on what they're trying to impose right now from a tyrannical authoritarian measure, the measures that they're trying to put forth right now tells me that the outlook or picture for America is very bad and very bleak. Yeah. And they know, and the reason they're doing this is because there's so many millions of Americans that are armed, right? So, we talked about BLM and Antifa and kind of what they're, rioting. They're paid to, to riot and be terrorists, right? Imagine when good, honest, middle-class Americans who are armed lose everything and their way of life, right? Imagine what they're going to do when they're looking, they want some people to hang for this now, right? Mm-hmm. So now they're scared, and this is what they're scared about, because they know that they've done American people wrong like you cannot believe. The amount of atrocities that they committed against us, they know that literally they should be hung for treason, because that's how bad it is. Because millions, tens of millions of lives are just going to be devastated, and there'll be no return. You have 50 million Americans already on some sort of government program, welfare program, where that's food, housing assistance, right? Look at what happened when we locked down. Within 2 to 3 weeks, everyone was having their hands out to the government for a stimmy check. They didn't have savings to last 1 month. Okay. The United States economy as pre-COVID was roughly 60% service-based, roughly 40% manufacturing production.
So, Jonathan, I'm hearing you predict zombie apocalypse. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, then you look at the mentality of your average American and how they're still going along with this mask thing. Do you really think they're going to fight back or do anything when they have no access to food, right? The military's on the street saying, here's your ration for the day.
So they're just going to roll over and die in their home.
Wave the white flag and call it a day. That's just most Americans, I believe. When you touch their food supply, when they don't know where their next meal is coming from, that's how they bring you to your knees and push you into communism for full control. Yeah, absolutely.
Got a question, Mike.
Go, Harry.
With the people that we talk to, the picture you paint is identical, except how are you going to keep the armed Americans from standing up and saying, enough is enough, we're taking it back? So they're not going to just roll over.
Well, I hear your point on that. Okay. And, I've infiltrated some groups, big Second Amendment guys, and these guys are rah, my guns. I've got, 100 guns and tens of thousands of ammo. Right. But then these are the same people, and I've seen it happen, that will, before they enter the grocery store, put their mask on. Big, strong, burly men will put their mask on going into a grocery store like, oh, I'm some alpha male. No, you're not. You're a little beta. And so you think an army, whoever it is pointing guns at you, all of a sudden you're going to start shooting back. It's not. See, listen, if China really is behind this, China is amazing at strategy. I love strategy, right? That's what I'm good at, policies and strategy. So China looks 100 plus years down. They've been on this a lot longer than America has. So they'll take the initial hit up front in the short term to give you a checkmate down the road for hundreds of years, right? That's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So they allowed us to use their slave labor, send the cheap goods to give us that nice feeling that we're rich and blah, 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 as they suck all of the infrastructure and manufacturing out of this country, leaving us completely destitute, right? And then when they pull that pin, it's game over. So I don't believe that many people are going to rise up and fight back, especially when they're staring into the eyes of their children or their wife, where they're saying, we're hungry. You can't eat guns and you can't eat ammo.
Yeah. Where I think, Jonathan, we're headed is, I was shocked when Trump stepped up to run, and I was shocked with the way he ran, and I was really pleased with how he managed his presidency. Though, I mean, there's disappointments and whatever. He was not well served, I think, by his staff. But Trump, to me, is an example of what may happen that could be a little bit more hopeful, and that may head off a zombie apocalypse in the United States of America. Not saying it's going to happen. Everything you've said is we can end this. We can end this tomorrow, Mike. We can end this tomorrow. The problem is, though, okay, here's the thing. In the state, for example, we know what Tony Evers did was completely unconstitutional and even on borderline. We talk about traitor stuff, right? We have the same thing in Maine with Jezebel Janet.
And Michigan's terrible too. The sheriffs, right? Constitutional sheriffs have the ability to arrest and remove such tyrants that would defy rule of law. Right. The problem is no one will do it.
That's right.
Okay. So when the checks and balances have completely fallen apart, then we are in the situation that we're in.
And they just stole the presidential election. And Jack
exactly.
Dorsey,
if you can turn a president of the United States off of a social media platform like he's nothing, then that tells us who really owns America, who's making the rules. It's not the president.
Yeah. Do you think that there's, do you see any kind of potential? Nobody knows the future, right? So do you see the potential rising in of any kind of significant backlash against the left, against Biden? Do you see that?
Yes, I see it now. I think it is happening, especially when he canceled the Keystone Pipeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are like, what's going on? Why can't America be energy independent? Even some questions there. So from day one, it shows how anti-American Biden administration is. And again, why is he president of the United States then?
Right.
China should just welcome him in and he should go, rule over a little, county over there, not America. That's not what America is founded on, right?
Deanne, you raised your hand. Go.
Yeah, Jonathan, you were just talking about how the lower people can help get certain people out of office. Have you ever heard of Matt Truella?
Yeah, I'm friends with him. Yes, absolutely. Yep,
okay.
I know him.
I was just going to suggest that if you hadn't.
Yeah, his Lesser Magistrate book, amazing book, and everything that he says is spot on. Yep, we've had a meeting together and spoken, and awesome man of God for sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
Complete your thought on China. You were talking about.
Okay, so China is in this for the long game, and I think indirectly we might already be flying under their flag, and we just don't know it yet. And that's what I'm really scared to death of here. But if you look at the debt that was see, people think is China debt. No, actually, the numbers do you really tally them up. China owns a certain portion, but this huge gap in between our national debt that we have right in the deficit, it's all being financed out of fictional thin air. The Federal Reserve prints it out of thin air, digital into the screen, right? Gives it to the Treasury to spend, right? They take the T-bonds, right? But it's this closed loop. That just keeps happening, but they keep increasing the base currency. So what you're seeing happen right now is as an economy starts to shrink its production, its ability to produce. The example I give is you put a glass fishbowl over our state or the country, right? Nothing can come in, nothing can come out. Whatever you produce or don't produce, that's all you can consume within your country. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you take everything that China does off the table, right? Take everything Mexico does off the table. What is America actually? What can we produce, and how quickly can we do it? And do we have the skilled labor to do it? Mm-hmm. That's the other thing. So when you have such little supply, but you have so much currency chasing it, that's where you have the exponential price increase. And we're already seeing it. We're seeing it in lumber, copper, food prices, energy, right? It goes on and on and on. We are for real. We have surpassed the housing bubble of 2008. I have a friend who's a mortgage, backed security broker here. And he said, Jonathan, you can't even try and buy a house. You have to bid 15, 20, 30,000 above ask to maybe have a shot at buying a home.
Yeah.
On top of artificial high prices.
I just found out that my brother's place was bid on. He just put it up for sale, and the bid that won was $75,000 over the asking price.
Correct.
Harry, you had your hand up. Go.
Everybody talks about the president, which is fake, as we all know, and several other politicians that fall right in line. But I never hear anybody talking about, if anything can be done, about the people that control them. It's, okay, those are the ones that are in our face, but they're not the ones that pull the strings. They're just the puppets on the other end. Is there anything that can be done with the money people that are calling the shots?
So here's the thing. The way to get out of this is we have to opt out of their system. Okay, when you're playing a game with a cheater, okay, you're never going to win. So you have to opt out of the game altogether. So what I have been proposing publicly and actually trying to tell the Assembly and Senate, they're never going to listen to me, but I want on public record that I said this because this is the right strategy. The first thing to do is Tennessee is doing this. What we need to do at the state level right here, we have to protect our state. DC is kind of a lost cause in my opinion. I'm all about just protecting our state. We have to clear out from the local level, even down to the school boards. I mean, that's bad, right? Yeah. I'm going to testify in my own county school board about this mask mandate. And they are just as much tyrants as the governor, going all the way up the chain. So we have to start here, protect the state of Wisconsin. But when it comes to the monetary system, in the Constitution, right, you look back into it, they define money, right, the dollar as X amount of gram of silver. They said money should only be gold and silver. That's there. The founding fathers knew this, and they knew why they did a specific reason there. So the states have the constitutional right to actually start investing a portion of their rainy day funds into physical gold and silver bullion. Now that's been frowned upon, and the treasurer will not do it because they've been told not to. Because here's why: if every state started to put a portion of their Federal Reserve notes into physical gold and silver bullion, the price would explode. And when the gold prices explode, it's just showing the weakness of the dollar. So it's dollar's a product, and they're trying to hide the weakness as long as they can. But it's manifesting in inflation, every other thing we talked about, right? Mm-hmm. So eventually you're not going to be able to deny it, because like what you said, milk, $10, bread, 10, crazy numbers, right? And people who are fixed income or low income, they can't even afford it anymore. That's why they'll say, hey, we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now it's $25 an hour. That's all a root cause of a failed monetary system. So what we want to do is we want to protect our purchasing power at the state level, invest right now in physical gold. All individual people should be opting out of the dollar every chance they get. And the last distraction that was created for this was cryptocurrency. Now, Bitcoin, okay, whatever people think of it, the blockchain technology behind it, yes, I see the value in that. But Bitcoin, as what it stands today, is not worth $58,000, $60,000 a coin. That's nonsense. So even cryptocurrency market is in a hyper bubble, and that's because all this stimmy money, all this cash is chasing digits right now. Digits in the computer. That's all it is. It's bizarre. It's a bizarro world we live in.
So you would you would have the state of Wisconsin, as governor, you would have the state of Wisconsin start buying silver bullion and gold.
Exactly. Saving our rainy day fund in that, because it is a guarantee that the Federal Reserve is going to decimate the dollar. So whether it's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down from the road, that physical holding that we have will retain its purchasing power. So for infrastructure, roads, whatever we need to spend on, it will probably have doubled in value, maybe tripled, right? So while every other state is crunching, they're having to cut more people, lay off people because their budgets are so constrained, and they're looking to the federal government for indirect ballot again, right? Which is technically illegal, but because they can't print their own money, here we are, we're self-sufficient. We don't have to take bribes from the federal government, and that's what they are, bribes to do more of their evilness, right? We have weathered the storm because we saved our purchasing power in physical gold and silver. That's step one. And Tennessee's already has that on the books. Tennessee's doing it. It's 0777 is their bill, if you want to look that up. But yeah, 40% of the rainy day fund investing into physical gold bullion.
But Jonathan, you're saying that the state level, okay, that's fine. But what about the individuals? Where do we go?
You need to protect and protect yourself individually. And like I said, everyone can buy physical silver, physical gold, right? Listen, everyone got caught with their pants down last year with even just basic food reserves. Look how fast those grocery stores were emptying out, right? How gappy those are happening. There is a real agenda right now, what's going on in place. Look at what Bill Gates wants to do with meat. He wants to cut meat out altogether. He wants to allow you to have one burger a month. And he wants you to eat his synthetic garbage goo the rest of your life. You know what I'm talking about, Mike, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
That's that's how little they think of you. That's the slaves that we are.
And that gets to Harry's other earlier question, which is why aren't people talking about the powers behind the Bidens and behind the politicians who are out there?
A lot of people don't know. They've done a good job at screening. Right? People just can't look at that puppet figurehead and think, oh, he's the problem. And that's the beautiful thing of an evil system. If you can design it that way, then you can swap out these puppets all day long. Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter, and nothing ever changes. Because the real owners.
Here's the way it's been for my career. They use this. They throw out this word conspiracy theorist.
I hate that word.
Whenever in politics you begin to meaningfully and seriously discuss the United Nations or the World Economic Forum or
Rothschilds.
The Rothschilds,
Kissinger,
the Illuminati. I mean, you say certain words.
Sure.
They throw out conspiracy theory, and every American turns their brain off. But now I think that's changing, Jonathan. And comment on this. I think that the American people in the tens of millions are willing to think about the Rothschilds and talk about it, and the Illuminati and talk about it. They're wondering what in the world, where did this come from? They're asking themselves, where did this come from? Are you seeing evidence of that?
Mike, we think about it, we talk about it, we know it's there, but nobody's got an answer.
Well,
talk doesn't do much.
I'm not sure if no one has an answer, but no one has the spine to go into action to remove the evil people. That's what it is. So, it's also gaining the perception of that you're in the right to do so. If we went, everyone was thinking Trump was going to go around and arrest all these people, right? Never happened. But that's really, until you remove the psychopaths from their power, they're going to keep inflicting harm. And I'm willing to say that publicly right now. And I've said it before, until we remove them from power and try them, just like we did in Nazi Germany, right? At the war, right? The same thing's happening. Nothing's going to change for humanity.
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here, Mike.
Oh, good. We just lost power, so I'm running off the battery on my phone. But go ahead,
Right.
continue.
So if we can't solve this through the political way, in a peaceful way, then when things degrade, it will turn violent. I mean, civil war is on the table, and then everyone loses under that scenario.
Let's talk about that civil war, Jonathan. What do you I hear the term, but where are people going to plant their flags in the civil war?
There is a very small pocket of people like myself that will not give up my freedom for anything. Doesn't matter. And so the Second Amendment is our last resort. And so if it comes to that, I am definitely going to stand and make my last stand. I'm not running. I'm not going to run to Florida like some people say, oh, I'm going to go to Florida, right? Well, that's nice. I live in Wisconsin. I'm raised, this is my home. So my last stand is here, and I'm going to protect my home to the very end. But you can't move to other countries. It's a global agenda, right?
Yes,
it's literally a prison planet.
That's right.
And so until humanity wakes up to the have consciousness level of this and realize it's a prison planet, right? Nothing will change. Doesn't matter where you go, they're still going to inflict the same kind of agenda on you.
Go ahead.
Jonathan, you just a little while ago, you talked like you didn't see the people rising up, that they would just lay down and quit. Well, now you're talking about very possibly an armed insurrection.
A very small pocket. I mean, when you take the whole number of citizens, right, compared to who will actually do it, it's a small percentage. I mean, it's not the majority for sure, right? But sometimes it just takes people to have courage and to lead, and that's what I'm trying to do, is be the example here in Wisconsin. That's why when I knew quickly that this was about control, I never wore the mask, not once, right? Because I have an immune system, and I'm very advocate. Hey, that shot looks really iffy to me. I mean, it's still a choice. I mean, I guess if you want to take the risk, that's your choice. But I sure wouldn't do it. But just having that contrast made people change their minds and not do it. And I've had people reach out and say, "Yeah, because of your material, no, I'm not going to do it."
That's why I'm running for governor in Maine, Jonathan. For the same, you just stated it very well. It's everywhere. It is a prison planet. And this is my home. This is the home of my ancestors. And I'm not giving it up without a fight.
Right.
I'm not going to give it up. I'm not just going to walk away from Maine. It means too much to me and my family and my grandchildren. And this is my home. And they mean to destroy it. People don't understand it. But these forces that are now at work in politics globally, they mean to not just disrupt, they mean to destroy what makes us human. They're putting us under a technocracy.
Transhumanism. Yeah, it's a very real thing. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what's at the heart of this so-called scientific thing related to COVID. I call it the COVID cult. It's more like a religion than it is anything else. It's
totally.
Not science.
Absolutely.
It's not science. This is not science.
And you did ask me that question earlier. I want to circle back. I know we got to close out here, but I just want to say, so the mRNA, right? What I'm really concerned about with this mRNA jab is what's happening is in our immune system, we have a wide spectrum immune system, right? That God intelligently created that way. So when a virus, enters, right, we can identify, we can say, okay, here's what it is. We'll deal with it, right? When people take this mRNA jab, what I'm concerned about is it narrows the spectrum. So it really goes like this. And what I'm concerned about is when the next strain or mutation of, basic coronavirus, right, will happen. It's not a new thing. In the fall, these people who have had the shot, their immune system will not catch it, and it will just obliterate them, literally, right? They'll fail to catch it, and they'll get sick and die. They won't have an immune system to fight it. And then what will happen is they'll refeed into that narrative all over again. Oh, look at this. It's COVID 2021 now. Okay. See, we're right about this. It's all the people that didn't mask. It's all the people that didn't get the shot. That's why everyone's dying now. Now we really got to lock down, and now we got to really make sure that you get the shot, and we're going to do it by force, because that's the only way humanity stays alive.
Yeah. What a grim thing. So we've got to rise up. We got to be human again. We can't give these people our humanity and our reason. For goodness sakes, it's so obvious, Jonathan, now that the forces that we're up against are against just basic reason. I had a guy last night at the Republican meeting shake my hand after I spoke, and he said just two words to me. He said, common sense. Common sense. Come on, folks. Don't you see what is being done to you? They're taking away your common sense, and you are giving it to them every time you put on that muzzle.
Right.
And distance, and refuse to push back when your elderly grandparents are kept hidden behind a plexiglass slab in a prison.
Mm-hmm.
We have got to wake up.
And it's being normalized with the children. You know, I had a kid the other day, you know, a few months ago in the store, you know, 5 years old, look at me, he has a mask on, you know, looking at me, ask me, why am I not wearing a mask? I mean, it's just, there you go. Next generation, it's normalized and
it's vicious.
Here we go.
It's pure evil. We're talking with Jonathan Wichmann. He's going to be the next governor of Wisconsin. We've gotten into some really grim and dark territory here. But Jonathan has hope. As I said at the beginning of the show, he has faith, and he's willing to lead us to the other side of this. And you need to be looking to connect with leaders like Jonathan Wichmann. They're there. You can find. You got to turn off CNN. You got to turn off MSNBC. You got to push outside of what the algorithm is feeding you on Facebook. But they're there. They're everywhere. Leaders are everywhere. Good people of goodwill are everywhere. They're in your neighborhood. I think about my neighborhood here in Maine. If I were always watching CNN or something, I would think that the world was going to collapse tomorrow from global warming. But when I walk down the street and I look at the houses in my neighborhood, nothing has really changed. People still say hello. It's still, you know, it's still pretty normal. So this is a propaganda thing. It's an information war that we're in, and it is a war. And to the victor goes the internet. It's either going to be a surveillance instrument or it's going to be an instrument of freedom. Jonathan, I'm going to give you the last word. What do you say? Is the internet going to become a surveillance weapon, or is it going to be an instrument that secures our freedom?
Well, they definitely want to turn it into an instrument of surveillance. But the beautiful thing about, you know, being an entrepreneur and free markets is smart people that don't agree with that, they'll build a new internet 2.0. You know, they will. That's based on freedom.
Now, right?
Yeah, it's happening right now. So again, be encouraged. I'm not here about doom and gloom, right? The reason I put all that material out there is there are solutions, but we actually have to be willing to tackle them and get into them. We can't play this political game, you know, like you're talking about within the establishment. We have to get real action in momentum, like what Ron is doing down in Florida. He's doing a great thing. We need everyone to do that in all the states.
That's right. So, and Jonathan needs your support. I need your support. You can pray for us. If you have some extra money, you can donate to these causes. You can sign up even better and get involved with face-to-face volunteer efforts. For example, this weekend, I'm doing a honk and wave way up north on the Canadian border. It gets you outside. There won't be any distancing, no masks. We're going to hold signs. We're going to smile. We're going to have fun. That's what you need to do in order to win this battle, is become a human again. Don't go into the new normal. Keep going with normal, not old or new, but just normal. Use your common sense. Jonathan Wichmann, thanks for being on WCN-TV.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Stream, and be sure to connect with Rob Pugh, the publisher of Wisconsin Christian News. And God bless you all. We'll see you next week for an even more exciting edition of Wisconsin Christian News Television.